The film begins when we see a visually impaired lady named Sarah conversing with an imperceptible presence. The presence has been torturing her for quite a long time. It plays melodies and pursues her around the house. Sarah can't take a greater amount of this, so she goes to the cellar to hang herself. All at once, she feels the presence close to her. She adjusts her perspective, however, before she can eliminate the noose, somebody kicks the instrument away. An individual from a corner clicks an image of her hanging to death. A bunch of clinic instruments lies on a table close by. Sarah's twin sister, Julia, lives miles from her. As Sarah hangs to death, Julia breakdowns. She detects something wrong and chooses to visit Sarah. Julia and her significant other, Isaac, come searching for Sarah and track down her dead in the storm cellar. Sarah and Julia both had the very sort of infection that aggravated their vision, ultimately making them blind, yet Sarah's vision had gotten terrible before Julia's. At home, the cop proposes, proclaiming it an instance of self-destruction. He thinks Sarah got discouraged with her visual deficiency, so she ended it all. In any case, Julia demands it isn't, as Sarah was trusting that a contributor will get her vision back. She accepts this isn't an instance of self-destruction, yet that of homicide. He then illuminates her regarding a visually impaired woman named Soledad, who Sarah used to converse with. Julia visits Soledad and becomes more acquainted with about a spot named Bauman Center, a spot for incapacitated individuals. She tells her that Sarah had made new companions there. Julia visits the spot. At the point when she goes there, she hears a gathering of visually impaired ladies chattering about Sarah. Sarah had a beau who she went with to an inn in Bella Vista. The ladies notice Julia's presence and defy her. At the point when she presents herself, they ask who the man she accompanied is. Julia is shocked on the grounds that she had come alone. However, the ladies sense somebody standing right behind her. Julia sees somebody leave. She pursues the individual and arrives at a little dull room. The individual is directly before her, however she can't see him because of the murkiness. He streaks his camera, which diverts Julia, and he get away. Her vision goes frail. Isaac maintains that her should return home on the grounds that any more pressure will make Julia lose her vision, yet she persuades him to visit Bella Vista for a vacation. Truly, she needs to figure out Sarah's beau, whom the visually impaired ladies had been discussing. As they show up in Bella Vista, she picks the inn in which Sarah remained with her beau. In the lodging, she can't track down any record of Sarah's beau. Later at lunch, a server tells her that her twin Sarah as of now had her eye activity, so she is confounded with regards to why Sarah ended it all as she previously had the activity. Then Isaac uncovers that Sarah's primary care physician let him know that her eye activity was not fruitful. As per him, this is the explanation Sarah ended it all. As Julie is going to leave the lodging, a janitor named Crispillo says that he found something in Sarah's lodging. He directs her to Sarah's room and gives her a key that had a place with Sarah. Crispillo likewise advises her to watch out for the man in obscurity. All of a sudden, Julia faculties somebody behind her. The individual takes off before she can get him. Julia and Isaac then go to get observation camera film to distinguish the individual Sarah was with. Isaac goes in to get the recording, however never returns. At the point when Julia goes in to check, Isaac isn't there. Every one of the recordings are gone as well. She reports to the police about Isaac's vanishing and informs them regarding the undetectable man. All at once, we see Crispillo washing in a tub. Somebody removes the light over him. It shocks him to death. The police and Julia come searching for Crispillo and think that he is dead. Julia is currently certain that the undetectable man has killed Crispillo and captured her significant other. Stressed over Isaac, she gets a seizure that further debilitates her vision. She goes to see her PCP, who tells her that she has under a month prior till she goes completely visually impaired. He organizes an Irelocate medical procedure for her. Sometime thereafter, she returns to Soledad's home. Soledad had a spouse and a child named Heavenly Messenger. Her better half left her, and Heavenly Messenger had taken care of her for a considerable length of time before out of nowhere leaving one day. Presently, the police view Isaac's last area as an inn. They likewise find his wedding band in the room he remained in. As the auditor and Julia are in the inn talking, another official comes, saying that somebody is at Julia's home. Both of them bring back. Examiner goes to look into a room when Julia hears a commotion from the storm cellar. She goes down to check, but since of her vision and the room's dimness, she sees nothing. She searches the room and out of nowhere contacts a man. Frightened, she begins to holler for help. The controller descends and attempts to quiet her. Abruptly, the lights return. Isaac's body dangles from the roof. He has ended it all. However, in any event, when the lights are on, Julia can't see. She has gone completely visually impaired. The next day at the medical clinic, the overseer enlightens Julia concerning Isaac's self-destruction letter. He had an unsanctioned romance with Sarah for a very long time before her passing. He committed suicide since he was unable to deceive Julia any longer. A couple of days after the fact, Julia goes through a medical procedure. She needs to live with a gauze around her eyes for 7 days. Solely after that will we know whether the medical procedure has been fruitful. During this time, she will remain under management in her twins' home. The clinic furnishes Julia with an overseer named Ivan to help her around the house. He gives her a gadget to stay nearby her neck so she can call him whenever she needs. That evening, Julia gets a bad dream about Isaac and Sarah attempting to get her gauze off. She awakens scared. Then at that point, she hears strides from outside. She calls Ivan through the gadget. He advises her to escape the house. She get away. All at once, somebody takes the key Crespullo had given her. The police come in the next day, yet they track down no proof of attack. Ivan affectionately changes Julia's gauze. For the following couple of days, he takes extraordinary consideration of her, changing her swatties, cooking for her, paying attention to music with her, and so forth. Be that as it may, all through that large number of times, Ivan's face. On the third day, Julia requests that he stay for drinks. They have a discussion about Isaac, after which she kisses him. That evening, Julia is awakened by a bad dream. As she goes after her wedding band as an afterthought table, we see a bunch of clinic instruments like one from the evening of Sarah's passing. Somebody from behind her attempts to infuse her with the medication. This awakens her, and she at long last contacts the man. Frightened, she runs out of the house to her neighbor, Blasco's home. His girl Lee is home as well. He lets her inside, however, begins to badger Julia. Not long from now, she is astonished to track down Sarah's critical in his home. She takes it with her. She escapes from his home and conceals in a corner, calling Ivan for help. At long last, Ivan comes to save her. She is too frightened to even think about going into her own home, so he takes her to his. There she lets him know that she tracked down Sarah's key at Mr. Blasco's home. She thinks that Blasco is the imperceptible man. Ivan leaves for quite a while when Lee approaches Julia. She has followed them here and slipped into the house through the windows. Lee lets Julia know that she was the person who took the key from her home and that she realizes who killed Sarah and Isaac. It is the imperceptible man, Ivan himself. Lee uncovers that she used to be near Sarah and knows a ton about the imperceptible man. Julia doesn't trust it, yet Lee demands that the key opens one of the secures in Ivan's home. Ivan has been medicating Julia to make her go visually impaired, as he did with Sarah. Lee advises Julia to go to the washroom and remain there until Lee figures out how to get away. At the point when Ivan returns, she requests that he take her to the restroom. She then opens her SWAT 4 days before the timetable. Fortunately, the activity is fruitful, and she is glad to have recovered her vision. She rapidly heads outside and goes into one of the rooms. She is stunned to see many pictures of Sarah and herself on the wall. Julia passes on the space to search for Lee, however sees her body wounded to the wall. Ivan had killed her as well. Panicked, she plunks down in the corner crying. All at once, Ivan comes into the room. We see his face interestingly. It is splattered with Lee's blood. Julia acts like, however, the medical procedure was ineffective and imagines that she is as yet visually impaired. Ivan communicates his adoration for her. Presently, she is in the kitchen with him. She sees him medicating her favorite. Julia then replaces her favorite with his. Ivan doesn't see, however, he gets dubious. He takes her to the cooler and requests that she open it. Inside it is the dead assortment of genuine Ivan. Julia wheezes, offering that she can really see. The fraud Ivan calls her a liar. He then takes her to Sarah's home, yet Julia figures out how to take off from him into Soledad's home. There she requests that she call the police, however Ivan comes in before she can. He considers Soledad's mother, uncovering that he is really her child, Angel. Julia begs Soledad to call the police, however Angel persuades her that he isn't an executioner. Then, at that point, Soldat hits Julia on her head with the telephone. Angel understands that his mom can see. Soldat reminds him he will not be anything without her. This shakes Angel, so he gags her. He believes her should return to being visually impaired once more. He jabs her eyes with a needle. At the point when Julia awakens, she is in the storm cellar of Sarah's home. Angel sits before her. He has stuffed all her garments and plans to remove her to live with him. As he begins to kiss her, Julia takes a blade and wounds him on his legs. She rapidly runs out of the cellar and locks him there. However, she can't escape the house. She calls the police. Similarly, as Angel breaks the entryway, Julia removes every one of the lights in the house. It is black as night. Heavenly Messenger utilizes his camera blaze to search for Julia and sees as her, as he attempts T. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe this channel, like and comment this video, and share with your friends. I'll see you in the next video.